and welcome back to Outside the Ropes. I am your host of Outside the Ropes, as always, Matthew Moore. Welcome back to another edition of the podcast. I hope you're all doing really well out there today, guys, and thank you so much for hitting the download button on iTunes, or if you're listening to us here on YouTube, or on Facebook, or our speaker account, or even our website, OutsideTheRopesRadio.com. Hope you're all doing brilliantly well out there. We've got some latest scoops and stories for you in the world of professional wrestling. But before we do that, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends and partners of this podcast. If you're historians of professional wrestling and love to go back and check out all the old stories and photographs and videos and much, much more, Wrestling's Past is the location. Go to their website, wrestlingspast.blogspot.co.uk, and on Twitter at Wrestling's Past. So even if you're new to professional wrestling and you want to go back and check all the history of the world of professional wrestling, go to Wrestling's Past. So that's wrestlingspast.blogspot.co.uk. and on Twitter at Wrestling's Past. Guys, we've got some great news for you and scoops on tonight's podcast here. Thank you so much for all your questions that you sent in to us today. We did put a wee video out on our Twitter and Facebook earlier on today asking for questions, and we've got some questions that we're going to answer very, very shortly. Also, questions that were sent to us on our website, OutsideTheRopesRadio.com, and our email account too. So thank you very much, guys, for taking your time to send us some questions here, as we're going to try and answer as many as we can on this edition of Outside the Ropes. Now, before we go on to any of the news and obviously the scoops that we have for you today, as you know, we were supposed to do a podcast this past Monday. We had everything set up and ready to go, but then we heard the news of the passing of professional wrestler Buddy Landel. Now, if you're obviously not familiar with Buddy Landel, he is a wrestler who was 53 years of age. He had a great professional wrestling career back in the day. If you don't know anything about Buddy Landel, certainly Google it or go to our friends Wrestling's Past and have a look at his career. He died at the early age of 53 this past Monday, so we'd like to send our condolences and thoughts to his family. And we obviously are very sad to hear the passing of Buddy Landel. And out of respect to that, that's why we cancelled our podcast last Monday, out of a mark of respect for the passing of Buddy Landel. So our thoughts and prayers right out to the ropes go to all the family and friends of Buddy himself. Moving on, guys, we've got some news coming out from this past Monday night's Raw. Did any of you watch Raw this past Monday? I thought it was a reasonably decent show. We have Brock Lesnar on the show again, looking to basically get his hands on Seth Rollins and whip his ass again and take him to a little place, as everybody now knows. They've even got it on a t-shirt now. Suplex City. Great show. It wasn't a bad show. Pretty half-decent show. Finished off with the Authority beating down Brock Lesnar, and also a member of the Authority taken away to hospital in an ambulance. But Raw started off in a really strange promo, should we say, from Brock Lesnar, where he was made to apologise to Michael Cole, in his own unique way, of course. Also, he apologised to JBL for attacking them the night after WrestleMania 3 months ago, after he lost the WWE World Heavyweight title. But later on in the night, it was all basically to build up this match coming up at Battleground in a few weeks' time, where the Authority beat down Brock Lesnar. We went off the air Monday night, where Rollins was standing over a beaten down Brock Lesnar. Now, the news coming out of Raw that Authority member and part of J&J Security, the toughest security team out there, I must say. Yeah, right. Jamie Noble was taken to hospital and is apparently legitimately injured. Now, we don't know the full extent to his injuries, but apparently Jamie did get injured when Brock Lesnar tackled him into one of the barriers outside the ring. You can watch the footage, of course, on obviously your sources that you watch Monday Night Raw on. It's also on YouTube as well. But Jamie Noble apparently is injured, and we don't know the full extent of the injury at all. But Monday Night Raw as a whole, it was a reasonably solid show. But it was all focused around the Authority and obviously Seth Rollins trying to step up to the plate and prove to the world that he is not afraid of Brock Lesnar. So there you go. But Monday Night Raw as a whole, for me, I thought was a reasonably decent show. Other news we've got coming out away. It's still within. We'll stay in the WWE sort of area for some of these stories that we have here. As we did report on last Wednesday's podcast, guys, China visited WWE headquarters Monday, not Monday past, but the Monday before. And more news has come out in the media and the press over the last few days that apparently China has come out and said that she is willing to bury the hatchet with WWE and maybe start doing some work with WWE in the future. Now, whether WWE are willing to accept this or not, as we all know, there is a lot of heat. Well, people say there is heat between Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, and China and Stephanie McMahon after what happened back in 2001 whenever China departed from the company. Now, a lot of China fans have been sending us messages on Twitter and on Facebook and by email as well, outside the ropes at yahoo.com or on our website, outsidetheropesradio.com, wanting to see China return to maybe the Hall of Fame next year. Now, is this a way for WWE to try and bury the hatchet once and for all and bring China in for the Hall of Fame? Because we hear rumours next year apparently DX could be going into the Hall of Fame as a faction, which would be nice to see all members of D-Generation X on the stage go into the Hall of Fame, which would be great to see, even including China. But apparently China has come out in the press this week to say that she wants to bury the hatchet with WWE. Now, guys, I want to hear more of your thoughts on this here, on this story itself. Should WWE bring back China, especially after what she has done since she left WWE? As you all know, she had an adult movie career and other stuff as well. But should WWE bring her back? Let's hear your thoughts on that, guys. You know we're obviously how you get in touch with us. Also, we've been keeping an eye on another story, which we've got more news for you as well. Tyson Kidd, as you all know, was injured in a taping of Superstars by Samoa Joe. Now, if you haven't saw the video on YouTube yet, guys, go and check it out, where he hits his finishing move, the Muscle Buster, but Tyson Kidd ended up injured with this move and sustained a neck injury. Now, we did say we'd keep an eye on that story for you guys, and we have been doing that. And the latest news that we have from Tyson Kidd is that Tyson Kidd will be out for anything up to 14 months. He went for a pre-op operation a few days ago, and for all we know is now that apparently this injury is something similar to what Stone Cold Steve Austin and Edge had back in the day. Now, as you all know, Edge and Steve Austin had to retire because of their neck injuries. But for what we know, is Tyson Kidd could be up for up to anything up to 14 months, as this is a pretty severe injury. Now, we all know Tyson Kidd was out before with a severe knee injury, where he had to have major surgery and was out for quite a while. And it's such a shame, though, because Tyson Kidd is such a great talent, and we'll not see him back in the ring for at least another 14 months, or maybe even not even see him in the ring again, which we hope that does not happen, because we do want to see Tyson Kidd wrestling, because a lot of you guys out there know that Tyson Kidd is a great, great in-ring performer. So we do hope Tyson Kidd gets a speedy recovery, and we are still keeping an eye on this story. Any more news that we know about that, we'll bring it to you here on Outside the Ropes. Also, guys, we hear, no surprise, The Rock gets a new movie role. Should we really talk about that? Many movie roles is The Rock going to do? But other news about The Rock as well. He was asked in a recent interview again, is he going to get back into the ring at WrestleMania 32 in Texas? There's a lot of rumors going around that he is apparently going to be fighting Triple H next year in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. But The Rock has said he's keeping quiet on this one. And time will tell, as he said. So, and he also got a new movie role, which we don't want to get into because The Rock's doing that many movies. It's hard to keep up with him. Also, WWE Tough Enough aired last night here in the UK and also around the world. Did any of you guys out there watch Tough Enough? I've only watched bits and pieces. I've watched the after show on the WWE Network. I haven't watched the full episode. I've watched bits and pieces of the full episode. I want to hear you guys' thoughts out there on Tough Enough. Who do you think's going to win Tough Enough? And do you think there's any guys on this season, of Tough Enough that will actually last? As we all know, Big Andy won the last Tough Enough back in 2011, and he was released a few months later by the company. Is there anybody there that catches your eye that maybe thinks, well, if they get picked, because obviously they're picking a man and a woman this time, is anybody on that sort of, any divas or male competitors you think will be the next big WWE superstar, or do you think the winners will not go any further? Or even go that far, like Big Andy did in 2011. Let us hear your thoughts on the Tough Enough show for this season. Anybody there stands out for you, let us know here at Outside the Ropes. We're going to obviously keep an eye on that show as well as it progresses through the next lot of weeks. Must say, though, the setup for Tough Enough is quite impressive, and the boot camp is quite impressive, and some of the challenges that they're doing. Personally, I wouldn't like to do it. Probably kill me in two. Another program WWE brought out this week as well on the network, Swerved. Has anybody out there seen the new program Swerved? I actually watched it yesterday. I mean, it was actually quite entertaining. Very, very good program by WWE called Swerved. So if you haven't seen that yet, guys, don't forget to check it out on the WWE Network. If you haven't got the WWE Network yet, honestly, guys, you need to get it because it's a really good thing. Also, we've got more injury news coming out of WWE as well. Eric Rowan, for what we hear, was injured at a live event this past weekend, which is such a pity though, because him and Luke Harper were back together and they were planning, for what we hear, the writers were planning to put the WWE tag team titles on them down the road. They're a great, powerful tag team who should have had the tag team titles when they were feuding with the Usos back, I think it was about a year or so ago, when they were still with as the Wyatt family. But for what we hear, Eric Rowan is injured. We don't know the full extent of his injury. But once again, as always, once we get any more news, we'll let you know here, guys, on Outside the Ropes. Going away from WWE for just a moment, we've got some Kurt Angle news, some TNA news as well. Kurt Angle done a recent radio interview, and he was asked about his current health issues, or any issues with his health, or any thoughts of even retiring or going back to WWE. Kurt Angle talked about his current deal with TNA. He did say about, he was on the verge of going back to WWE. He was talking to them, but apparently they were not interested and they wanted him to work more of a schedule than what he could do. So he was basically saying that his current schedule and obviously his current deal with TNA suited him perfectly, especially with his age and obviously his physical well-being, because obviously the toll that he's took on his body over the last lot of years. But they also asked him would he be retiring anytime soon, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, and Kurt Angle said no, he is not retiring. Kurt Angle will be around on our screens, well, if TNA is still about even, for the years to come. And speaking of TNA, we've been talking about this every week on the show, but we heard this story yesterday, that apparently TNA are planning, do apologise, our show iPad has just beeped. TNA apparently, well, for what we hear, because obviously they're not in good terms with their television deal, that apparently these recent TV tapings coming up are rumoured to be maybe their last TV tapings, which I do hope, guys, as much as I take the mick out of TNA on the show, I would hate to see TNA close. But for what we've been reading in the last few days, TNA are in deep water now, and it's looking like it's coming towards the end. I'm hoping this story that I saw as well is a lot of nonsense, and I hope TNA continue to open their doors and give other wrestlers somewhere else to work apart from WWE. So if this story is true, I'm hoping it's not true, but there's another couple of guys' contracts are coming up. They've been letting other wrestlers go, and we hear today as well that apparently Austin Aries' contract's up. They've been trying to offer Austin Aries a deal, and he has refused, and for what we hear, he is on his way out the door as well. They've also released Gunner recently too as well from his contract. So they're losing talent. Is it, guys, I mean, we've been talking about this on the show for a long time. TNA, what's happening, what's going on? Like Global Force Wrestling's going to be biting at its ankles pretty soon as well. It's a sad thing, really, if TNA closes its doors, but I hope it doesn't. I mean, in the last few months, they've even lost Taz. They've lost so many people. So, fingers crossed for TNA. I keep praying for them to turn it around, because, they've been around. How many years have they been around now? About 13 years now, maybe? So, again, just have to keep an eye on the story as always, guys. Also, a big congratulations going out to former WWF and WWE superstar and current TNA star Matt Hardy on the birth of his first child. Matt Hardy posted on his Twitter account the other day that him and his partner have now got a newborn baby. Now, Matt Hardy did announce on his Twitter a long time ago that he was expecting his first child, but the news was confirmed the other day. It was an 8-pound baby, and everything's grand, the mother's fine, everything's grand, and mother and baby are doing really, really well. But yes, big congratulations going out to Matt Hardy. Now, guys, I wanted to say this wee story, and we're going to sort of twist a wee bit here and go back to WWE. This is a big thing here. The news was released today, not so long ago, actually, regarding WWE bringing out, I don't know if you've probably heard this or not, but WWE are bringing out a new Sting DVD. Now, it's going to be called Sting Into the Light, and it's being released on October 13th. Now, I'll read a wee segment here, actually, what the WWE have put out to the press regarding this DVD, because this is actually really, really interesting. It says here, get a glimpse into the man behind the black and white paint with Sting, Into the Light. Go behind the scenes with the vigilante himself as he prepares to step into the ring for the first time on the grandest stage in them all. Since 1985, Sting has been one of the men who never crossed over to WWE until now. Listen to his former work colleagues in recent interviews. Now, I'm using that word, recent interviews, from the following sort of employee, people he works with. Listen to the names. Now, this is recent interviews. Triple H, Lex Luger, Rick Steiner, JR, Hulk Hogan, and a recent interview with Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff doing work for WWE for a DVD? Never heard nothing like that in the story. But there you go. Just to name some of the names who are going to be on this DVD. Vince McMahon as well. So a big production being put together for Sting, which is due to hit the stores on October 13th this year. So it's a big coup for WWE. That's going to be no doubt that's going to be a big seller for WWE as they're bringing a brand new Sting DVD this October. Another thing as well, guys, we were talking about briefly about the program called WWE Swerved. Now, if you haven't watched this yet, I don't want to spoil too much of it for you, but there's a wee story coming off the back. I actually should have mentioned it when we were talking about Swerved a second ago. Darren Young was in the episode. Now, where there was a part where they were doing a gag with him with a microphone, a smelly microphone, that's all I'll put it to him. But he was standing, as you all know, Darren Young came out last year and openly admitted that he was gay, which, fair play to him. Obviously, he's come out and he's proud of what he has known, and all the respect to him in the world for that. But, you know, he said he was disrespected in that episode of Swerve. Now, the reason why he said he was disrespected in that episode of Swerved is because his partner was standing beside him. It's actually the Hall of Fame this year, where they're interviewing all the different wrestlers and whatnot. And it's because they actually blurred out his partner's face. He feels like he's been disrespected. Now, for what we've been reading, Darren Young has actually went to the production people and obviously the head boys at WWE to complain about this, and to actually ask why his partner was blurred out. Now, Darren Young took to his Twitter account about this by saying, "Swerve by WWE, but to blur my man's face is totally disrespectful to me. Why? It wasn't done on hashtag WWE Unfiltered." So there you go. Darren Young is not a happy camper in WWE because his partner's face was blurred out of the recent program of Swerved. Again, is what's going to come out of this, we don't know, but there you go. But that's some recent news for you guys on this podcast here today. I want to just give a couple of quick shout outs to our friends and partners, our friends of the show, and then I'll give a wee shout out to our partners as well. I want to give a shout out to our friends here in Ireland, of the wrestling promotions here in Ireland. If you haven't checked them out, you can watch their videos on YouTube, and also if you live here in Ireland, north or south, you can actually check out the promotions as they come into your area. I want to give a shout out to our friends at Pro Wrestling Ulster, PW Belfast. Well, mostly based in Belfast, but they do shows all over the country now. Their website, prowrestlingulster.co.uk. Don't forget to check out all their action if they're coming to your local area. Stars like Tucker, their champion, former WWF superstar Al Snow. They also have guys on the show like Shelton Benjamin, Drew McIntyre, current TNA, or Drew Galloway, current TNA star. They got the Northern Irish Nightmare Tron, JDP, and much, much more. So that's prowrestlingulster.co.uk. Also, our friends at wrestling.ie, that's Steve Muldoon's promotion, with big stars like Duncan Disorderly, Damien Corvin, who else have we got there? So many big stars right across. Lord of the Manor, Paul Tracy, and much, much more. Paul Tracy, who was actually mentioned recently on last week's edition of NXT, which is back on the air tonight, which we're going to preview just a wee second. But yeah, www.wrestling.ie for all the wrestling.ie shows touring all across the whole of Ireland. I want to give a shout out to our friends as well, who had a fantastic show, which we shared a highlight video on our Facebook, Over the Top Wrestling, which is just, looks so entertaining. We must get in touch with those guys to try and get down there sometime to check out one of their shows and interview some of their talent, because the shows look absolutely off the chain. That's Over the Top Wrestling. They're on our Facebook, guys, and they're on our Twitter, so follow them and check out their website and stuff like that. They're actually linked with Main Stage Wrestling, which is down south in the Southern Ireland as well. Also, Fight Factory Pro Wrestling, which you saw on NXT last week, when you seen Fergal Devitt doing his interview. That's Fight Factory Pro Wrestling, and Celtic Championship Wrestling as well. I think Celtic Championship Wrestling's still around as far as I know. So a big shout out to all those guys all across of Ireland. So if you're listening to us here in Ireland, try and get yourselves along to any of them promotions, because for a good night out of wrestling, why go? When you live in Ireland, you may as well go and support your local promotions. So there you go. Also want to give a shout out to our friends at British Wrestling Radio. That's Dino and all the guys, bwrradio.com, and also on Twitter at bwrradio. I want to give a shout out to them as well. And finally, once again, our friends and partners of the show, Wrestling's Past. For historians of wrestling, guys, don't forget to check out our friends, wrestlingspast.blogspot.co.uk and at Wrestling's Past on Twitter. Their daily tweets about on this day of the history of wrestling is absolutely super as well. Guys, tonight is NXT as well on the WWE Network. I don't know why he's watched the Brawl last week when we had Samoa Joe against Kevin Owens. That was we all knew the result anyway, but we watched the fight. It was pretty brutal as well. But NXT's back on the air tonight, guys, on the WWE Network. I'll be checking it out. We'll probably, if we can get a chance, we'll try and tweet throughout the show tonight as well. So I think they're going to show that wee special thing done for Dusty Rhodes as well at the start of the show. I think they're going to do that. But there you go. So don't forget to check out NXT tonight as well. SmackDown was taped last night. We're not going to give any spoilers away, as we always don't, because we don't do that. But there you go. Question time. We've got some questions before we hit the road, guys. We did say we're going to answer some of your questions. Let's have a look here and see on the iPad that keeps on beeping for some strange reason. Thank you very much for your emails and questions and stuff like that there. We've got one in here from Andrew. Andrew wants to know, when do we think Seth Rollins is going to lose the WWE title? Is he going to lose it to Brock Lesnar at Battleground? Honestly, Andrew, I don't think that Rollins is going to lose it, but if he does lose it, it probably will be to Brock Lesnar. I've heard 2 or 3 different stories for SummerSlam. It's probably going to be Rollins against Triple H for what we hear. But if it was me booking the show now, I would have Rollins maybe get himself disqualified and maybe make it into a triple threat at SummerSlam with, Brock Lesnar and somebody else maybe, or even a rematch. But then I hear also Roman Reigns is going to be fighting Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But if it was me picking and me calling it right now, I don't think he's going to lose it until maybe SummerSlam. So that's my choice on that one, so there you go. I've got to be one in here from Claire from Dublin. Hello, Claire. Thank you very much for tuning in to us. Hope you're doing really well down there. Wants to know, is Outside the Ropes, I like this, is Outside the Ropes ever going to attend any local promotions and try and interview some fans who listens to the show every week, like us? For example, Main Stage Wrestling, Fight Factory Wrestling events, their gym shows. Also interviewing any local talent as well in Pro Wrestling Ulster and Wrestling.ie. Yes, we are. Hopefully this summer we're trying to get out. As you know, we're still trying to move from here to the studio. We've negotiated a deal with a new radio station and we're going to be moving back to a radio station very, very soon. That paperwork should be coming through any time now. So we can get back on the air for local radio. So yes, we'll be going to a lot of local independent shows. It'll more likely be me and myself going to those shows. So we're going to those shows very, very soon for the likes of Pro Wrestling Ulster, Wrestling.ie. We're going to try and get down to over-the-top wrestling as well. So yes, to answer your question, we will be getting to some promotions very, very soon. So thank you very much for your email. Also got an email in here from, what's her name here? Oh, right, sorry. Same name as my daughter, actually, Brooke. We had a girl from Brooke. Where's she from? I'm trying to see it doesn't actually say where she's from. Her email says, is Roman Reigns ever going to be a singles champion very, very soon? If so, which title do you think he will win first? Ryback was pushed back 2 years ago for the WWE title, and it's took him at least 2 years to win the Intercontinental title. Do you think that they're going to do the same thing with Roman Reigns? I hope not, as I would like to see Roman Reigns WWE champion. Well, that's quite a good question, actually. I must say it was a very good question. We all know Ryback was pushed heavily to become the WWE champion when he was feuding with CM Punk. Then, obviously, he got himself into a bit of hot water. He was doing all that stupid stuff with Curtis Axel. Then he went home for a while, and then he came back, and he only finally won his the first singles title recently, which was the Intercontinental title. So I think Roman Reigns is in a bit of a different situation than that, to be honest with you. But Roman Reigns, I think, will be a world champion very, very soon. Sooner, hopefully sooner, because he's a good talent, and I do like watching Roman Reigns, but I don't know exactly when he's going to be champion. So thanks very much for your question. Anyway, I'm going to answer a couple more here before I hit the road. One here from Colin. Colin wants to know our current current views. I can't even speak, guys. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Our current views on this rumor flying around that Hulk Hogan will step into the ring next year at WrestleMania. Colin, in my opinion, I think it's stupid. I think Hogan should just do what he's doing with WWE at the minute. For example, he's just stepped into Tough Enough, which is good to see. But to get back into the ring next year, I think it'd be a silly idea. All these different names and rumours are flying around. Who's he going to fight next year? Is it going to be John Cena? Is it going to be, what's going to happen? To be honest with you guys, I think it'd be a silly move for the Hulkster if he gets into the ring next year. But that's just my call on it. But I just don't know. Hulk Hogan to get back into the ring next year, I think it's a pretty bad move if you ask me. So there you go. Okay, guys, thank you very much for all your emails on today's show. You can still send us emails in, and we will reply to them, of course. Outside the Ropes Radio .com, where you can send us an email through our website, or outsidetheropesradio.com. Also, outside the ropes at yahoo.com as well. Don't forget to send us tweets, as you always do, throughout all the shows, and obviously just general questions, and talk to us on a general day-to-day basis on Twitter at Outside the Ropes, and also on Facebook, Outside the Ropes Wrestling Talk Show. That's going to bring us to the end of this edition of Outside the Ropes. Guys, hope you enjoy NXT tonight. Enjoy SmackDown tomorrow. Enjoy all the stuff that you watch on the WWE Network. TNA as well is on tonight. We've also got Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground as well. So guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Stay in touch with us. As I did say to you, we do like to talk to our fans as much as we can. So from Outside the Ropes for this week, I'm your host Matthew Moore. Enjoy the rest of your week, no matter whatever it is you're doing. And we will see you back here, same time, same place, next Wednesday for another edition of Outside the Ropes.